Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, Mr. Kadish, and with me today is my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with Dutch Butters. How you doing, Dutch?
I'm here, sort of, I think. You got me all Twitter-pated today, dude, because you're making me push buttons and do things behind the scenes.
He's got buttons.
It's not good, dude. It's not going to be fun.
For those of you wondering, we have some technical issues going on because I am not, as you can see, at the office. I'm at home, and my home computer feels neglected and has been refusing to cooperate with us.
Just saying, some weird stuff could happen today.
Yes. So Mr. Butters is going to be driving the stream, the technical aspects of the stream today, which means anything can happen.
Just turn the porn off, Budger.
And he's here. He's queer. He's our shield against all things intersectional, and he's also rocking a major hangover, hence the glasses.
I am.
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, man. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. And it looks like your Voyager documentary is finally out and doing well.
It's doing well. Yeah. It's finally done. It's finally out. Feels good to see the work actually pay off. It's nice.
Yep.
Only took 2 weeks of no sleep.
Everyone, Brian worked really hard on that Voyager documentary, so be sure to go to the Popcast channel and check it out. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But also, they do good work over there at the Popcast, so got to support those guys. And taking time away from his busy schedule of appearing on Critical Drinkers live streams, we have a special guest, Reaper, all the way from the UK. How you doing, Reaper?
I'm all right. Still haven't killed myself, so that's a good day.
It always is a good day when you're still alive.
Don't pull the trigger.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. But we got a very, very special show today, guys, because this is the Cancellation show. This is the show where we're going to be talking about all the crazy cancel mobs that are roaming around like a pack of wild dogs looking to take down big-time YouTubers.
I thought we were talking about Lord of the Rings.
I haven't watched past the first episode, so I'm really
totally unprepared for that. I watched all 14 episodes, getting ready for that this week, and I guess I'm gonna have to forget about it.
I detect some dishonesty from you, Mr. Butters.
Yeah, some of us have. That's why we're suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
He's got too much life in him.
I feel like this is we have a lot of energy here today.
We do.
Like I'm getting a really big sweaty balls vibe coming off of this stream.
Well, every time we have a Brit on the show, it's always much more mellow than it normally is.
Yeah, Brian's down there passing out.
What happened?
Yeah, what?
I'm awake. Yes. I'm awake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The reason Brian's wearing the shades is so he can just nap throughout the night.
It's not operating.
Hold on.
Look like he's there.
If you see me like this, I'm not reading.
Brian has a recording of him on loop that he'll just play and it'll look like he's awake.
I used to have that.
Oh yeah.
I haven't used that in a while, but I used to have one where it was like this.
Yeah.
Just this.
Well, guys,
back and forth.
I want to give a big shout out to our top donators, mostly Brian G, who is still undefeated with that $500 super chat. And he is also our top contributor for the year of 2024. So big shout out to you, Brian G. Really appreciate you. And coming up in a close second is our good friend Scotty Dub for $400 super chat. And of course, rounding out the top three is William Forbes for $120. He is the Dutch Butters super fan. And speaking of super fans, we also have Mexican Iron Man, who is our most consistent super chatter. So he comes on most times. He's been missing a little bit lately, but he'll come on and drop like a little super chat every now and then. But the big ones are our gifters, Jillian N., Bob Dorsey, Sam Schwager, Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg. You guys are very generous, and you always like to give people access to the Salty Nerd memberships, which we appreciate. Speaking of which, we have some member chats to get to. Anthony Mark, member for 16 months. Happy 50th anniversary to the Planet of the Apes TV series. Wow, it's been that long. And we got Jeremy Turner, member for 15 months. Stay salty, my friends. Well, stay salty to you, Jeremy Turner. Really appreciate it. And Eric Winberg comes in with his obligatory one gifted Salty Nerd podcast membership. Really appreciate it, Eric. If you got that membership in the chat, please give Eric a big thank you. And of course, Major Chai Chai coming in for 5 Salty Nerd podcast gifted memberships. So gifted memberships are already flying early in the morning, which is good because we need 10 of those suckers. That's our goal for today. If we can get 10 Salty Nerd podcast gifted memberships before the end of the stream, we will look at it as a success.
If you get 10, if we get 10, I will chug whatever's left of my Powerade. Does that keep in line with your drinking a Coke and I might
only if you let it come down your chin.
Yeah, if you let it stain your beard.
Yeah,
there's not gonna be anything left of it anyway.
And you're shirtless when it happens.
And grunt a little bit while it's happening.
What's wrong with you, Brian?
Yeah, Brian, that's gonna get memed right there.
I just realized
everyone clip that.
I just realized that.
And guys, real quick, just so you know, at the end of the show, we are going to be redirecting you to the Real McCoy podcast from Mephisto's Movie Reviews. So be sure to stick around if you like movies and you like talking about movies. Mephisto's got a really nice little podcast over there. So be sure to check that out. And also be sure to subscribe to our second channel, Salty Nerd Gaming. Mr. Butters and Mr. Salty Nerd himself, Alex, are over there working really hard, playing video games and neglecting their families in doing so. Be sure to like and subscribe over there.
I do all of my neglecting when the family is asleep. So it's all good. It's all good.
And guys, we've hit our goal with Da Beast 808 gifting 5 Salty Nerd podcast memberships.
This is too much to chug. Yeah. I don't know if I can do it.
Chug it, Mr. Butters. You promised.
Do it. Chug. We need to see it down the beard. Come on, get it on there. Rub it in your nipples.
and in 5 minutes, Mr. Butters will have to leave to go to the restroom, I'm sure.
Wow. That was something. I was not expecting that. But okay.
Right. And guys, we got our first super chat of the day from Way Too Dumb Mutter Falker for $1.99. No tax on overtime. That's right.
Wow.
Taxation is theft.
So we've got no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security.
Sounds like a win.
Sounds like a win. We get rid of the death. We get rid of the death tax. That's probably what's coming next, right?
Yep.
And no taxes on things that have already been taxed 14 times.
All taxation is theft.
Let's do it. I'm down.
I know, right? All right, guys. So I just got a text from Tom Connors Jr. He said that he overslept, but he will be on shortly.
Right on.
And speaking of oversleeping, Odin's probably busy trying to get his young one into bed.
Isn't it like noon where Tom's at, or 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah,
it's noon where Tom's at. It's 1 o'clock where Odin's at. So we come from all over the place, including the UK with our special guest Reaper. All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit about cancellations, and we're going to start off the show by talking about everyone's favorite thirst trap streamer, Amouranth, and she got banned. She got banned hard. Yeah.
She got banned real hard.
So
so hard.
Guys, we're going to be talking about a lot of banning going on today, but I wanted to start off
banning.
Yes, so much banning. I want to start off with this one because Amouranth is no stranger to being banned. She gets banned off Twitch on the regular. But those are temporary bans. These are bans where after a couple of days she comes back on, she does her thing. However, no, Tom, you can't go back to bed. Get your ass on here. Sorry, I saw Tom Connors in the chat. So Amouranth got her YouTube channel taken away from her recently, which I think is interesting because YouTube bans tend to last, right? Like once YouTube bans you, you're kind of up crap.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed. Yeah.
Yep. So what happened is that she had this ASMR channel that got banned a while ago, right? And she didn't really care. She was just like, okay, whatever. But then YouTube comes back and bans her main channel, which had something like, I think, over 1 million subs or something like that on it. And she's like, oh, that's not good. And then they also banned her personal channel that she didn't post anything to. And they say that it was for sexualized content, but she's like, I didn't do any of that stuff on there. But a lot of people are theorizing that YouTube is taking associations from her ASMR channel, which is against their terms of service, I guess, and applying it to all related channels.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Once you get banned, you can't create another channel and be like, oh, well, that one was banned.
Well, she had these channels before the ASMR channel was created. So these were, kind of grandfathered in, I guess. But she didn't get any warning. In fact, she went on to Twitter, or I should say X, to complain to Team YouTube, saying like, hey, what's going on here? Like, I didn't get any warning. I didn't get any strikes. It's just like all of a sudden, my personal channel, which I just used to like watch YouTube in peace, got banned. And then my main channel got taken down, and I have no idea why. And so she's obviously not happy about that. But I wanted to open this up to the panel. So we'll start with our special guest, Reaper. Reaper, are you familiar with Amouranth, and what do you think of her getting banned?
I've heard of it, but I haven't really seen her. Well, I said before, Google tends to ban every account associated. So even if it was just one account doing it, everything linked to it is gotta go. I don't know why they've actually fully banned it. I think it's because this time of year, close to the elections, I think they're clamping down on everyone. So
that's definitely a part of this, and we'll be talking about that. But before I follow up with you, Reaper, I want to welcome the Lord of the Shelves, the Master of Pineapple, Odin from OMB Reviews. How you doing, buddy?
The All-Father!
I'm doing just well. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Glad you could join us today for this very special episode of Cancel Culture.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, son took a little bit longer than usual today, but he's doing well.
Hey, we get it. At least you showed up, whereas Tom Connors Jr. has yet to make an appearance.
No word either.
He's in chat.
Well, he overslept. Yeah, he's in chat. He insists on being on the thumbnail, yet he never shows up. So.
He's got to get his bowl of cereal in.
Gotta get his bowl of cereal. Gotta get his bacon and eggs. But Reaper, so like you mentioned the fact that it's an election season, and YouTube historically, every time an election season rolls around, they start dropping this ban hammer. But what I thought was a little bit interesting about this is that YouTube, I think it was mentioned in this article, YouTube has a here it is. They have a creator responsibility policy. And this is something that I hadn't heard of before until I read this article, which is basically that YouTube takes into consideration a user's behavior off-site, which is one of the reasons why Dr. Disrespect's channel got dinged, I believe. But it's kind of disturbing that YouTube can say, well, you did this not on our site, but because you did this behavior in the real world, we're going to take you down. And this is also a platform that basically banned the channel of the sitting president of the United States back in the 2020 election cycle. So they have a history of basically just not giving a fuck who they ban. And it's all based around this creator responsibility policy. What do you think are the dangers, Reaper, of basically these platforms banning people for what they do when they're not on the platform?
Well, Patreon's done a similar thing where it bans people who had, because they only had a policy saying if you say anything on our platform, you'll get banned. Then that wasn't the case. Then loads of people lost their money. And it's just going to be weaponized by everyone to go after certain people, because all it takes is a very zealous YouTube partner to go after 3 people. You've got no other recourse. YouTube doesn't tell you any sort of reason why you get banned. You have to spend years trying to even figure out the reason why. So as they become more prevalent every election cycle, you're just going to get more and more people being banned for stuff they said years ago that's not even relevant anymore.
Oh my God, that's not good. We're doomed.
Yeah, we are.
That's not good.
It's terrible.
Really isn't good. So, but yeah, we'll be one of the first to fall, I'm sure. But Brian, Amouranth is known for being a kind of spicy streamer. She has successfully leveraged her popularity on Twitch and YouTube to get people to follow her over on OnlyFans, where she makes like $2 to $3 million a month. So I don't know how much this YouTube ban is going to affect her. But what's your take on this? Why do you think that that YouTube decided to target Amouranth of all people?
I mean, she's gonna get less new fans over there, right? I haven't seen Amouranth in a long time. I'm looking at her Twitter page right now. Damn, the girl is thick as hell. Oh my god. She used to be super skinny, right? What happened? I thought she was like really skinny back in the Twitch days, but no, she's super thick. It's crazy. I think that she's gonna have, the tap of people coming from her normal channels like Twitch, YouTube, Kick, whatever, it's gonna slowly slow down. So she might be making plenty of money right now, but like it's not sustainable. So she's gonna be living off her Sims for a long time. But she's fine. She's probably gonna be just fine for the next 5 years.
I think she's got enough money she can retire today and never have to worry about it again.
Right. Or she can literally go, hey, MindGeek, whatever the company owns the hub, websites. Hey, how much to do an exclusive adult film? And those guys are gonna be like, here's $20 million for the Amouranth tapes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And next thing she's gonna end up doing, she'll end up doing porn. Like, it will not be once the Sims start to go away, you'll see Amouranth the next 5 years in porn if she can't turn the tap back on. And you know what? She'll be just fine. She'll make millions and millions of dollars. No one will care.
Well, Brian, I mean, that's basically like
her net worth, according
that's
to
my
this
strategy.
website.
Once the tap turns off, I'm going to do an exclusive porn for sure.
On Celebrity Net Worth, it says she's worth $25 million. So
I think that's a little bit low.
It's probably really low.
Yeah, 33 million, like a couple $1 million a month, right? Like,
yeah. But Brian, I think she already does, porn on her OnlyFans stuff. Maybe not hardcore, but like she's definitely putting in.
It's not hardcore.
Nudes and simulations.
I think we should ask
remember like
Odin, does she do a lot of porn? I can't.
I would have no idea, and it's just sad that
Odin is a top supporter.
This discussion.
Jeez. Top Amouranth supporter. He
bought
her an SUV last year.
Well, speaking of Odin, so Odin, I wanted to throw this idea of the creator responsibility policy that YouTube has to you. This to me just seems like they could use. It's an excuse to basically ban people for anything, right? Where it's like, oh, you jaywalked one time like a year ago. That's against the law. Therefore, you're a criminal, and we're going to deplatform you.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a really slippery slope, especially like like we're going to be talking about this later on the show. You have people like Gary, who is a like previously convicted felon and stuff like that. Obviously, like he's someone who straightened his life out and turned his life around, and he's an inspiration to a lot of people. But YouTube could basically just say like, oh, you were in jail one time, therefore we're not going to give you a voice or a platform to speak your mind. So what's your take on this creator responsibility policy that obviously Amouranth got slapped with?
I want to say I've heard this story before already, because didn't Patreon do something very similar, where they had something similar in their policy, and that's what
with Sargon of Akkad
justify. Yeah. Exactly, right? So it's not anything new for these companies to have the policies like this. And even if you gave it like the most generous description, because there is a very generous way of showing it. Well, if you think about it, if somebody is on your platform and then they straight up murder somebody, but they didn't do it on the actual platform itself, this would allow them to be potentially removed for any, crazy things like that. Okay, that's very, very generous. However, even then you're like, okay, yeah, it's still a bit of a problem, because then you're leaving that policy up and into the hands of these corporate shills who are only going to, as being the, they're really not creatives at this point. They are just completely nothing more than activists. And so these activists are just going to be pushing the scales in one way, removing people who are of only one side of the political aisle. And they are therefore going to use and abuse the system to to continue and to push their own personal agendas going forward. And really, I think the big problem ultimately is how do you actually bring about a correction of this? Because, you have differing opinions on this of, okay, you can bring a lawsuit, but what's a lawsuit necessarily going to do if there's not consistency in enforcement of law or interpretation of law, if there even is one that you could really get at this point? And then the other is, well, you could use alternative sites, but it's at the same time like, okay, yeah, even if you try to start a movement, the amount of people that use sites like YouTube, for instance, right, it would make maybe a little more sense to have a potential to do something with Patreon, but with YouTube, even if you have your entire fan base and you have 1 million subscribers, that's not going to be enough to make a dent in pushing the company to move away from these tactics. So, yeah, I mean, again, I understand their policy to a very, 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 very small extent, but it's so clear that they are using it in very specific ways, and they are essentially trying to, it's kind of like, reminds me of that Disney terms of service nonsense, right? Where it's like you could literally agree to do something insane that makes no sense because you didn't read every single word of the, hundreds of pages worth of terms of service sometimes. And it kind of reminds me a bit about that.
Well, what it reminds me of is Tom Connors Jr., who is now joining us.
I've been canceled like 15 times.
Yep, you certainly have. When are you starting your OnlyFans, Tom?
Tuesday.
Right on. Got to have that supplemental income.
Yeah.
I need the first day
Tom
off.
and I are doing a collab.
Yeah, collab.
I did not agree to this.
You did. You were drunk, but you did. And I already have it on film, so you can't stop.
Wait, I don't drink.
Well, Tom, what do you think of Amouranth getting all of her channels, even her personal channel that she's never posted to, taken down off of YouTube?
I don't really know or follow this person at all, really. I just kind of know the name. No, seriously, I don't. These guys believe me because they know I don't pay attention to nothing. Maybe a tit that flies in my face once in a while. But no, like I think you guys are pretty much on point. I think it's either A, she is being made an example of because she's using YouTube as a platform to jump off of, which I know is something they're not too happy of with like the green machine, as we like to call it. So that might be them setting themselves up for future endeavors and stopping people from using YouTube as one platform to send people to others. Otherwise, I see it as a possibility of hitting some easy targets to test this idea of, can we get away with just dumping people if they're popular elsewhere for whatever reason, like Matt was just pointing out, like somebody like Gary who's been to jail and whatnot in his past, and doesn't matter what he's done now if they want to use his past against him for whatever reason or whatever else they want to use. I mean, that's the thing, is the timing of this seems odd with what's going on with the people trying to cancel everybody over Star Wars and shit like that. And I'm not unconvinced that rewriting Ripley and Disney aren't in on all this shit trying to get us all shut down. So it could be one of the half of the other and a half, 6 of the rest. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't really know Amouranth's stuff that well. I mean, I thought she already did porn, but that was just because of the way people talk about her. So I don't know.
I just look. She does not.
Okay,
and the green machine you're referring to is Kick, right?
No.
You're talking about Rumble?
Yeah.
Because Kick bought her like a $200,000 car, so she's working with Kick. I'm just looking at it right now.
That could be part of it too.
She's got an exclusive contract with Kick to stream on there as opposed to Twitch.
It's funny because Kick is brilliant too.
That might be why YouTube dumped her.
It's possible, but she's been on Kick for a number of years now, which brings me to you, Mr. Butters. First of all, the chat wants to know when you're starting your OnlyFans for your feet. You got any comment on that?
Soon.
Soon.
Yeah. Soon. We're in the process of filming.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Will you be chugging Gatorade while you show off your
I'm gonna dump Gatorade over my feet.
We're gonna pour Gatorade
while
over the feet,
we're taking the picture. And we're gonna put it in super slow motion.
Yeah.
To where
super
you can,
slow mo. Tom's in the background, just confused.
Yeah. Like super high def slow mo to where you can like see the drops of Gatorade just kind of flowing between my toes. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Mr. Butters, you know about Kick. And
no, not really.
The crap show that it is over there. And Amouranth has been streaming over there exclusively ever since they paid her all that money to do so. What's your take on this? Do you think that her stuff over on Kick was a deciding factor for YouTube, or is it just that YouTube?
I haven't watched her stuff on Kick. In fact, I haven't watched any of her stuff hardly at all, other than maybe 5 minutes 6 months ago when we were talking about her for some reason back then.
Was it not 5 minutes?
Yeah, fast 5 minutes. I'm not a fan. I don't like the AMSR stuff. I think she's just, she's just one of these chicks that I lambast about all the time about, eating cereal in a hot tub while looking hot and people throwing tons of money at her. I don't appreciate it and I don't like it. That being said, do I think she should be canceled if that's working for her? No, I don't think she should be at all. If that's what you do, that's what you do. I don't have to like it. I just don't watch it. That's just kind of how I am. Let people do what they want to do. As far as Kick goes, I'm not a huge fan of Kick. I feel like I have to go take a shower every time I go over there and flip through their assortment of channels, but
just a bunch of hot tub streamers.
It's gross, dude. Kick is pretty nasty. I'm not gonna lie.
I've never been on Kick before.
Yeah, it's
check it out.
Yeah. In fact, when I was setting up the Salty Nerd Gaming account, which we do have a stream account over there, and but I just multi-stream from YouTube. It just automatically goes over there. I barely even pay attention to it, so I need to give it a little bit more love. But the thing that Kick has going for it is their payout. If you can get partnered over there, they give you like 95% of what the money you make, whereas YouTube gives you like, I think 70%, and Twitch is like half. So there's a reason people go to Kick, and that's the main reason. But as far as her getting canceled, no, I don't think it's cool. I don't think there's a reason any of these people should be getting canceled on their streams. Let them do what they want to do if they're not breaking any laws. That's kind of where I'm at. So
yeah.
Was she fired specifically for like the inappropriate content she does, basically?
I have no idea.
They didn't say.
Okay.
YouTube had created a policy against ASMR, essentially, like sexualized ASMR.
Okay.
And basically, they took her ASMR channel down for quote unquote overly sexual content. And but like that was one of those things where she had like this microphone, she just like whisper into it, and she like looked seductive while she was doing it, but she wasn't really saying anything graphic or like
what's the matter, Matt? You don't like ASMR?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
but I think it's important to point out that Kick is it's basically a loss leader for a gambling site, essentially.
Right.
So basically they use it to get people into gambling, and they're other than hot tub streaming, the most successful streams over there are like slots or like poker or like whatever the case may be. So Kick just by its very nature is kind of icky because it's trying to funnel people into the gambling site. But I want to throw this out to the whole panel here, which is basically, we're all YouTubers, right? And we know how painful it can be when YouTube drops the hammer on you, especially like if this is like your job, if it's part of your livelihood. Brian, you guys famously got slammed for a BS, duplicate content strike or something like that, that set you guys back, like just killed your momentum for your interview.
We're doing great. On the way to 10K, getting 50,000 views on an interview, and then
And my experience with Google is Google doesn't give a crap about anyone. They don't care. You could be spending so much money with them, and they'll just be like, "See you later." We don't care about your small business. We don't care about your livelihood. We don't care about your family. So this kind of stuff to me isn't surprising. But I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think? What effect do you guys think this has on other YouTubers when they see like people who are at the top of the mountain just suddenly get banned for no reason?
Well, I kind of find it frustrating and demoralizing. True. We've been working on the Salty Nerd channel, grinding that thing out every day for 4 or 5 years now. And it's going to be, it would be really frustrating if we, we stick it to another 4 or 5 years, or a decade in, and we're finally getting some numbers that we like. And all of a sudden that just gets yoinked away because of something that I said in a Escape from New York review in 2021, 5 years ago or so. It would be ridiculous. And it makes you wonder. It makes you take pause to think about, is this something that we really want to keep on doing a little bit? So I'm not going to stop, but it does make you think about it. It's like, do I need to like tone down a little bit? Do I need to like not just be as free with my words? Because I'm pretty free with my words. I don't hold back. But at the same time, we have the little button that you start on every single video that says, "Is this video made for kids?" And you push no. And when as far as I'm concerned, I can pretty much say whatever the hell I want if that button's pushed, because we're not marketing to children. We're not making these videos for kids, so I don't know. It's just it's very, very strange, very frustrating. I feel like it's just, you're kind of at the whim of the morals of whoever is pushing the buttons behind the scenes there at Google. And it probably changes from time to time. So it's probably going to keep on changing too in the future.
I feel like there needs to be like an internet bill of rights or something like that protects people from this type of behavior, especially people who like build a business based around some of this stuff. Obviously, like private companies have the power to kind of do what they want, but at a certain point, it gets so big that it becomes like an actual free speech issue, right?
And there needs to be a cultural shift and a cultural change too, because I probably have one of the more unique positions on this, because in the case of Amouranth specifically, as you all know, I am not supportive at all of that kind of content. And if I was for any type of censorship, I would actually be of that kind. But again, that's coming just from a very strict, just Catholic morality viewpoint there. But what I would say is that I think that as far as going beyond like things that are not on this platform, impacting your decisions here, the other thing that we have to kind of consider, because we don't often think about it, is when the internet first got introduced, there were some very light guardrails put onto it. And it really has, I think, led to a lot of problems, because nowadays, in order to get onto a place like Google, for instance, to create an email account, to get access to any of these things as far as their content goes, you really don't have to do much, especially if you're like a child. Like, you can just make a fake email, a fake profile, and get access immediately to any of these things. And so that's why it's not even just about like laws that need to be passed, or I think an Internet Bill of Rights would be a good idea for content creators specifically, to protect content creators. But I also think that there needs to be another part of it, another piece of it, which is maybe we should start to really look at the internet in a slightly different way, to try to ensure that, that the crazy content that is out there that could actually have damaging impact and damaging effects on kids especially, begins to, but that can only happen. That can't be forced through law. That can only happen through a cultural shift. And it starts with us, starts with our families, starts with, us as a society.
Yep. You know what else starts with us as a society, Odin, is Mexican Iron Man for $10.
Mikey.
Yeah. Sorry, been away for a couple of Saturdays. I am back and survived this commie COVID disease. All this censoring makes me even more glad that I'm not a YouTuber and rather sell oranges on the side of the road. LOL. Well, good.
Those are the best oranges. Those are where you get the best oranges.
Yeah, good oranges.
Road oranges. Yeah, totally.
And I'm sorry you got a cold, Mikey. But hope you're feeling better.
Yeah. Apologies for you getting the flu. So
yeah.
Go back to your bunker and start your firearms training. Pretty soon he's going to change his name to Mexican John Wick, I think. So,
yeah. Is he learning how to fall downstairs for a very long time?
He's going to go to Ohio and defend all the kiddies.
Yeah, he's going to rescue the pussies out there.
See, that's why we're going to get canceled.
But the hard P.
Because we're just trying to speak the truth.
And way too dumb, motherfucker. For $4.99. Elon should develop a operating system to compete with Microsoft and Apple called XOS. Microsoft is hackable. Brian, I am 30 minutes of your doc.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think
he didn't say he was enjoying it. He said he's 30 minutes in.
Yeah,
hopefully you're enjoying
minutes of your doc.
It's over 2 hours long.
I need a decoy.
I got one of the comments was like, "Yeah, I just saw a 2 hour plus video pop up for Star Trek Voyager. I guess I'm gonna not go to work today."
And R to the Icky for $4.99. Dutch Butters Gatorade feet themed OnlyFans page. Let me go change my underpants.
Oh, yeah.
Emoji.
Gross.
With ASMR.
What is wrong with you, dude?
No.
Well,
Nothing. He's functioning just normal.
R2 has been going through some health issues lately. I hope you're feeling better, R2. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're on the mend or at least on the road to recovery. And we appreciate you being here. You've always been a big supporter of the show, and we love you, buddy.
Get that motivator checked out.
Yep. Davish for $4.99. Another long, boring shift at work. Thanks for helping me through it all, lads. Hail. Hail to you, Davish.
It was a Star Wars joke. He's got a bad motivator. Look.
Yeah, it's got a bad motivator.
Guess it was too deep of a cut for this audience. I don't know.
You want to go
Takashi
to the power station,
to pick up some
chase
power
station
converters.
power converters.
Mr. Butters, can you switch your tabs to the
I'm
Tenet
not
Media
awake
story,
yet.
please?
Toss
So the which one?
The next one, the Tenet Media story, please.
No, the Russians. Oh.
Yes. All right, guys. So I think it's time to talk about a little bit of Russian disinformation and the Tenet Media controversy. So this is the other big cancel thing that happened this past week, and there's multiple layers to it that I kind of want to get into. By the way, everyone, if you guys want to dig into the articles that we're discussing in this live stream, all the links are in the description. But had you guys ever heard of Tenet Media before? Because they were basically a YouTube network that was started by Lauren Chen and her husband, a very prominent right-wing commentator. And they basically recruited a bunch of kind of right-leaning YouTubers and podcasters to kind of be part of their network. And recently, the DOJ came out and basically said that these people were falsifying their stances. They were being financed by Russia Today, aka RT, which is basically Russia's version of PBS, or NPR, I should say. And basically, they misrepresented themselves to a bunch of these right-wing commentators and were actively spreading Russian propaganda and misinformation and disinformation. And this was kind of like a weird situation, because I'm going to kind of lay this out for you guys. But real quick, full disclosure, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I used to write for RT back in years ago.
Right.
Well, we found the spy.
Yes, I know, right?
We accused him. We accused him of
got
being
him.
a Russian asset back then. It's like,
Yeah.
Let's see how good you say
comrade.
Tenet Media is. You know, they're innocent. They're okay. It's all a
Yeah.
Good evening,
misunderstanding.
comrade.
They're cool, yeah.
I'm nice to see you again, comrade.
Yeah, so I used to write editorials for RT, and they did pay me for the editorials, but I'd have to go to them and pitch them an idea, and if they approved of it, then they'd pay me, and then I'd deliver the article. But that was back when Trump was in office. I don't even know like what year I was working for them, but I'm sure you can still find it if you do a Google search. My article should still be up there. But what was interesting about this is that what the DOJ did was they were keeping an eye on these two like former or current RT employees who were basically spending tens of millions of dollars with Tenet Media in order to fund them. And what I thought was interesting is that, Lauren Chen, who, I followed for a number of years, like, she's been a big YouTuber, she's pretty, she's from Canada, all that stuff. She was acting really weird on Twitter. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like her tweets were all like very kind of like counter to what, like the MAGA movement was doing and the Maha movement was doing and stuff like that. And she seemed to be kind of like taking a contrary stance to a bunch of stuff. And I thought that was kind of weird. And then this news comes out. And what's interesting about this is that YouTube took down Tenet Media and all of its related channels. And people have been targeting the people who are in that network, who include Tim Pool, Lauren Southern, and Dave Rubin, a bunch of other people, and basically said that they were manipulated into pushing Russian talking points. But then you go and you hear from these guys, and they're like, "Well, they never told us what we could and couldn't post on the channel. It was mostly a kind of like loosely affiliated network thing. But the really interesting thing here is about like how YouTube basically takes these things down. And despite the DOJ coming out and not actively saying that Tenet Media was the company, I think in the indictment it referred to Tenet Media as like Company One or something like that. But Tenet Media was not charged or indicted with any crime. Okay, the actual indictment is about not registering as a foreign agent for these two people from RT that were giving Tenet Media all this money. That was the only thing that they were able to kind of like get these guys with. They said that there's money laundering involved, but they didn't actually charge money laundering. So this whole thing was kind of like a weird technicality, basically, where they were like, okay, we have these guys from Russia paying these other guys, and they didn't register with the State Department that they work for Russia. And that was what the indictment was about. And Tenet Media did, in fact, misrepresent themselves to their network. They didn't tell the people who signed on that they were getting money from the Russians. They just called them investors and stuff like that. So obviously everyone involved in Tenet Media now has egg on their face, and basically all their maybe right-leaning or pro-Trump positions have been undermined by saying like, oh, they were paid to support Trump from the Russians. And so like this was basically the DOJ's way of presenting an indictment that furthers this Russian election interference narrative by making a mountain out of a molehill and basically smearing all these big name YouTubers that support policies opposite to the current administration. And if you look at social media and you just Google Tenet Media or like whatever, it's very interesting to see the reaction, because it got the reaction that the Justice Department wanted. It basically undermined all these like big name YouTubers like Tim Pool and Dave Rubin and stuff like that. And YouTube once again acted where it was just like it wasn't even an accusation, right? Or it was just based on an accusation. Like there was no legal proceeding, there was no conviction, there was nothing that actually lended credence to what the DOJ was alleging that happened here. If anything, it was just like bad behavior and misrepresentation on Tenet Media's part. But YouTube decided to basically nuke all their channels, and just very unceremoniously. Luckily, the people who got caught up in this haven't been too greatly affected on YouTube. Like Tim Pool still has all his channels, Dave Rubin still has all of his channels, et cetera, et cetera. But it does kind of like make you think, it's like, okay, like what if you had like a sponsor who it was found out that they did something bad, and because you had like a sponsored read in your video, now YouTube can just take you down. Like there's a lot of moving parts of this, but I want to get the panel's take on this. Odin, what's your take on this whole Tenet Media thing?
Yeah, it's kind of just crazy when you think about it, and I think that neither side, in my opinion, really looks all that great as far as like the members like who are directly involved. So in the case of the DOJ, right, the fact that it's coming out at a very specific point in time already makes it look like it was done for a political reason, right? I mean, I'm not saying that there's no injustice that's been done or that there are not charges that should be necessarily brought, but they definitely think the timing of it is a little bit too convenient in certain ways and in certain lights. I think also the instant reactions that were received from it, as you mentioned, when it comes to the actual indictment, Lauren Chen and her husband, they have not been directly implicated or charged with anything, and yet they were directly canceled on basically all of their platforms. At the same time, I don't think they look great either, because neither one of them, and again, it might be for legal reasons, and we can never insinuate blame on silence, but they have not said anything at all. They've been completely silent about it. And I think that the world that we live in today, if you are going to try to really get out ahead of the message, if you're really going to try to beat back in some way all of the misinformation that's come out, the best way to do that is to try to take it head on. But again, obviously this is still a movie situation, and silence does not indicate necessarily anything at all, right? We have rights in this country that allow for people to not have to worry about speaking. But yeah, it's a bizarre situation overall, and I think YouTube's actions especially are really troubling, because the fact that they will delete, in the case of Tenet, as you mentioned, it was just some of the money that went into the company, but it didn't seem like it really implicated necessarily the people at the top of that said company, right, in any way to the point where they would actually want to convict them of anything or they would want to charge them with anything. And so that's already kind of weird that they're using that as a way to justify getting rid of Tenet. But then also going after their individual channels makes no sense either. And it's not even just that they went after Lauren Chen. They also went after, was it Tyler Christensen or what's his name? The other conservative
Tayler Hansen.
Tayler Hansen, that's what it is, Tayler Hansen. But also like went after his channel as well. And so it's just very weird. I know there's like been some back and forth on that where there's some claims, like it's like a community post on X where it mentions something to the effect that that was related to the Tenet channel and not related to his personal channel. He fought back and said, no, it actually was his personal channel that was impacted. Either way, though, it just doesn't look good. Obviously, I don't like when any foreign country or foreign agents are going to try to influence anything. But also, I love how the biggest irony about all of this is the fact that one of the charges that was put out there was the Russians were trying to get involved to create disruptions in our political conversations to create turmoil during an election year. And what did they do? They went about and made turmoil even more so during an election year. So it's almost like, hey, DOJ, if you're going to imply any type of cooperation by any of these people in any way, even if it's like a very 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon situation, hey, no one has done more to damage the conversation in our country than the DOJ. Not even just in this specific instance, but in all the previous ones as well. The only difference, I guess you could say, is the money. But then again, we could also make questions about where some money is coming from in regards to our current politicians as well. But yeah, that's my thought.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
And it is important to point out what you talked about there, Odin, is that Lauren Chen and her husband didn't do anything illegal, really.
Right.
Like they weren't laundering money. Like they were reporting the finances on their taxes, and it was basically the only thing that they're really guilty of is they didn't tell the people that they signed on to their network that they were taking money from from Russians essentially. So they were a little bit misrepresentative with the people that they brought on board the network, but that's not necessarily illegal either, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to throw this to Tom. The biggest thing about this is that it was very kind of like October surprisey with the DOJ coming out about this and basically trying what this indictment really did was undermine all the critics of the current administration. Like they tried to paint them as being in the pocket of the Russians, even though the actual indictment itself is just saying that these guys who were sending Tenet Media money didn't register as foreign agents, which is kind of like a little technicality type thing. But it did what they wanted it to do, which is basically dismiss the credibility of pretty much all these people who were associated with the network in an election year. So you have to.
I'm sorry. Are they trying to start a new Russiagate kind of thing, saying Russia's trying to influence our conservative media influencers? Is that what the gist of this is?
That's what they're doing. Yeah,
basically saying anyone who supports Trump is being fed misinformation and disinformation by Russian assets. Essentially,
this is why I don't pay attention to any of this crap, because it's all nonsense. Gotcha.
What's confusing is, what do they do illegal? Why were they banned? What's the reason for their ban?
Well, here's the thing. So, I'm going to throw this to Tom. So, Tom, in the indictment from the DOJ, Tenet Media was not named at all. It was referred to as a Tennessee company number one. They were not actually listed in the actual indictment. And yet YouTube basically made the assumption that, based off of these victims, it's pretty clear, who they were referring to in the indictment, even though they didn't do anything illegal. Because the DOJ said that they were spreading Russian disinformation during election year, YouTube decides to nuke their channel. Do you find that disturbing at all?
Absolutely. And I guess full disclosure, obviously a couple of us on the panel know Lauren or have streamed with her before, Lauren Chen, that is. So, clearly I have a bias going into my opinions with this, and I'm not going to comment too much on it simply because
Tom's a foreign agent.
It's yes, that's true. No, I just think it's very sus, and everything you just said was pretty correct in that it feels like a hit job by the government or others involved, right along the lines with everything else we're seeing out there, right? Not to jump away from the main point, but it's the same thing with everything else, whether it's the pet thing, whether it's the baby thing, whether it's whatever. certain people get quote unquote fact check on, but other people don't. Yeah, it's extremely one-sided. So even though I'm upfront about my bias my opinions over the situation and how I think somebody probably is innocent or had no idea what was going on, or how this whole thing feels like a lot like what they did to Trump, basically drum up a bunch of charges. And even people like Judge Judy are going, I'm stretching to find the charge here. Like, look, I get it. She's not a judge anymore, but she was at one time. Go ahead.
The thing that binds these guys all together, though, right, is they're all Trump supporters. Is that accurate?
I don't think Lauren Chen is, but yeah.
I mean, she used to be, but there's been some things lately.
Pro-Trump influencer Lauren Chen accused.
See, that's the
pushing Russian
part,
propaganda.
Yeah,
is that she used to be, but like Kadish said, a lot of the things that she's been saying lately have kind of been, or not lately, but just she has her own opinion. It seems at times to where there's times where she has come out against Trump.
I was listening to a thing last night. I think it was on who's the blonde chick used to be on Fox? I forget her name. All of a sudden, Megyn Kelly.
Yeah,
and they were talking about Lauren Chen, and there was a guy on her show that said that she's like all of a sudden came out like really anti-Semitic and anti-Israel here recently,
of course,
in the last year or so. So, and that all came out. She like flipped on a dime. It was like really quick, and all of a sudden she's like spewing all these weird anti-Israel things out of the blue. So all of a sudden, and that was when they like said she started getting money from this Russian thing, right? So I don't know. It just seems very, very, very weird, very strange.
What's funny is they like to, claim everything's a conspiracy theory on one side, but there can never be any kind of cover-ups or, false accusations made on the other side at all.
They also insinuate that just because one's conservative, that makes them automatically pro-Trump. And the beauty of those that are more independent-minded, or even a lot of people that can consider themselves to be conservative, there's a lot more diversity of opinion, especially when it comes to political leaders. And whereas on the other side, you have mostly a cult-like devotion to specific people, and there's no real diversity of thought.
Party above all, yeah. No, and that's just it. It's like, the funny thing is if you think about it, if it was Russia or anything involved with Russia, why the hell would they want Trump in office? Right? Like, that's the thing that never made any sense to me. Exactly. Why? Duh.
Because he can
I
push them
think
all
we all
around.
know the answer why. Because Trump's a friggin' gangster. That's why.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is with the, A, not with an ER. Because I'm sure you all heard what he did to the head of the Taliban.
Right, yeah.
He gave the head of the Taliban
gangsta shit.
He gave the head of the Taliban a picture of the guy's house.
Yeah.
You missed the part. He goes,
Mr.
not
President,
one
why are you showing me a
American.
picture of your house?
He goes, if one more American dies, you will die. And the interpreter, like, eyes lit up, and he goes, tell him. And then he starts telling him, and as he's telling him, he just slides a picture of his house across the table. And the guy goes, why are you showing me a picture of of my house? He goes, ask your wife, and walks out the room. That's some fucking gangsta shit right there. I'm sorry.
Super gangsta, yeah.
Well,
Ain't nobody gonna screw with that guy because he's just telling you, we're gonna come after you, right?
I want to throw this to Reaper because as someone a citizen of the UK, he has an outside kind of like take on this. But Reaper, you guys over there across the pond are dealing with your own stuff about mean tweets getting you jail time and stuff like that. What's your take on this whole Tenet media situation?
Oh, we're the experts of locking people up for wrong speak.
Right.
I think we lock 10 times more people up than Russia does.
Wow.
Which is funny. Yeah, I think it was 3,000 people said the wrong thing, went to jail. Well, it was said before, it's the Russia allegations is clearly being used to weaponize. It's being dropped this close to the election because they want to influence and make Kamala Harris look better. But it's just like the allegation is just enough because even though, like, take the Me Too stuff that happened years ago, you didn't have to have any evidence. You didn't have to have any actual witness or go to court or go to the police. You just accuse someone. He loses his sponsorship, his deals, his touring dates, everything. It happened to Russell Brand.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, though, what made the situation a lot worse is when Tim Pool was going, I don't take money from foreign governments. And then Ben Shapiro popped up going, here's some, give us money to support Israel. That couldn't have been more comedic timed, better, anything.
That's true.
Yeah, Reaper,
no
just to
offense.
clarify, Tim Pool was interviewed by Ben Shapiro about these allegations, and in the middle, Ben Shapiro, like, he never loses a chance to do a sponsorship read, and he mistimed the sponsorship read to
Right.
basically be hypocritical of what Tim was just saying, right?
Right. I saw that. But to be fair, Ben always puts the sponsor in there.
Yeah, but now when right-wing people are clearly being like targeted and there's a big witch hunt going on, you go, I'll put the foreign government sponsorship right next to the guy going, I don't take foreign money. It was the stupidest. Like, you couldn't even get an intern to double check it. He's got the money. He's an idiot.
Well, and on the Me Too thing, look at, finally you got like Francis Ford Coppola fighting back, right? Because it looked like it was a, cancel campaign going on in him. Now, I don't have all the logistics if there really was any shenanigans going down, but to the best of the evidence that I've seen, there wasn't. And there's somebody who's trying to sue him, but he's like, F this, he's going after Variety, right? So, I mean, that's one place to start with this crap. I don't know if he'll win, but...
I think people have learned apologies don't do anything. You have to actually have consequences. Like, because every time it's like one accuser or one allegation, then suddenly 5 weeks later, it's about 500 people come out. So you've got to stamp on the ashes before it becomes a fire on the embers.
Yeah. But how do you fight back against YouTube, Reaper? Because like if YouTube just decides to deplatform you based off of no legal charges, just based off of accusations, like what recourse does someone have?
Well, yeah, none. They purposely don't tell you anything, so you can't actually go, well, you've accused me of this, but here's the evidence. It's all intentionally vague, so you can drop you for any reason, and you can't fight back.
Yeah.
The only route you can really go is alternative, and like Nick Fuentes is coming back on Twitter. He was persona non grata everywhere. So I suppose that, and then afterwards he's slowly coming back, and I think that's really the only recourse is basically go to other sites, stay popular, wait for it to die down, come back.
Yeah, my problem is TOS should not be retroactive. Like you shouldn't be able to make a new rule and then make it a retroactive thing, especially when someone has thousands of videos and thousands of hours of streaming. Like, oh, you can't do this, or you can't say this, you can't show this anymore on your videos, except for you're making that rule retroactive, and I have a catalog of 10 years of videos. Oh, well, what do you do about that? Do you just wipe your account every time the TOS changes?
People do it Twitter. That's the new thing. Everyone goes back and checks their Twitter and makes sure that they haven't said, because every time someone gets a Star Wars show, all these like usually like the black women go, oh no, I've had to shut down my account because of racism, not because I've said horrible things about white people.
Right.
And I think that's the new standard. Everyone who suddenly becomes famous is going to just delete all the history and start again.
Well, speaking of deleting history, Brian, I wanted to ask you. So one of the Tenet Media personalities was this independent journalist named Tayler Hansen. And it came out that basically YouTube had nuked his channel. And he came out and he was like, hey, YouTube, no one else got their channel deleted. Why are you deleting my channel? And basically, when YouTube went after Tenet Media, they not only took down the main Tenet Media channel, but they took down all the channels that Tenet Media was managing. And one of them was a channel dedicated to Tayler Hansen, but they hadn't actually posted anything on there. So everyone's like, why was his personal channel taken down? And then YouTube came out and said, oh, we didn't take his channel down. He self-deleted it. And then Hansen came back and publicly said, like, why would I ever take my YouTube channel down? It's like, yeah, I'm on Rumble now because I got kicked off YouTube, but like YouTube is where everyone's at. It's where all the money's at. Why would I kick myself in the nuts by deleting my own channel? doesn't make any sense. And so there's a lot of controversy around this because, like, this is a independent journalist who's been very much about, like, debunking a lot of the January 6th stuff and like a bunch of these other things. And it just sounds like it's very convenient that YouTube would say, like, oh, this guy is responsible for taking his own channel down, when we all know that, like, YouTube, like, they don't play fair, right?
Right. My only thing is, and I'm not saying he's lying, but when you go to his old videos, it doesn't say what it normally says when a YouTube channel has been banned. It does say, like, this video was deleted. And it's almost like, would YouTube change the message just for his channel, just to sort of push the narrative that he deleted his own stuff? Because I did go back to an old playlist, and every one of the videos said this has been deleted by the user. It didn't say what it normally says when a channel's been banned. What we've all seen, this channel has been terminated. That's not what the message said. So maybe they did wipe it, but, like, that message that comes up when you go to one of those old videos one of those old video links does seem sort of sus, because it says this video is no longer available. It's been deleted by the user, which is confusing to me.
Yeah.
The other problem with this
I'm not saying they didn't do anything wrong. I'm saying that's sort of suspect.
Well, I think the bigger problem here is that YouTube likes to act like it's not even a thing. Like, if you try to get a hold of anybody or talk to anybody, they say, well, there is no YouTube. It's not like there's, anybody who runs the company or anything like that. They pretend like it's Walmart and South Park, right? Like, we're the heart of it, basically. Go ahead, Reaper.
Well, you can get just random employees. You can get random employees just taking advantage of this. Sorry, my voice went. So I was just saying, you can get random employees who just go off the wire, take advantage of the situation, fire people, and just do what they want. And then you have to go up to their boss to try and undo what they did.
Yeah, good luck finding their boss. When my main channel got to 100K, I got my YouTube rep, and it was this lovely woman in the middle of, like, the Philippines, and she gets on video with me. There's literally, like, chickens in the background. I'm not joking. And she's trying to walk me through a PowerPoint. The FPS is like 420p resolution. And she's telling me how to activate ads. And I'm like, I don't understand. Do we get a YouTube rep? She goes, yes, rep. Thank you. And then she hangs up the phone. And I'm like, that's it? That's the rep? That's our rep? And that was the last conversation we ever had with them, dude. So, like, I'm not even sure there are, I think YouTube just sort of picks and chooses who it supports and who it promotes and who it doesn't.
It's all AI.
There are no actual humans at YouTube.
There's no humans.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, bro, it was an actual woman, like, in, like, the Philippines. There was chickens in the background. It was surreal. It was surreal.
Mr. Butters, have you ever watched any of Lauren Chen's videos? What's your take on this 10-minute?
No, I watch cartoons, dude. I play video games, and I watch Looney Tunes to go to sleep to at night. So, yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody watches Lauren Chen for her opinion.
That's right.
She isn't a very attractive woman. I just looked at a picture of her. She's a hot chick.
Because I usually enjoyed her takes. Like, again, I wouldn't say that I went to her every single day, but there'd sometimes be topics that she would speak about in a way that maybe others in the space weren't talking about. So I guess I always appreciated her perspective on things not being the exact same as everybody else's.
I think you appreciated that she was an attractive woman. Because when you look into it, they say the same things. They go, yeah, I disagree. They go, yeah, but she's hot.
Yeah. She is really hot.
I spend my time online watching Brian talk about things.
That's right.
Talk about things.
Yeah.
So, I got ugly bald guys to watch and not hot chicks. Like,
it's true.
Well, then you have to say good stuff. Because if you don't say good stuff, no one's going to watch it.
But what you didn't know is Tom's actually getting paid by Russia.
Is that true? I can't watch Tom.
I own a Russian company called Netflix, where we have our own Netflix because they shut us down here. So because of this, Now listen, we only have 3 cassette tapes right now, but I come to your house and we watch movie together, and that's Netflix. Anytime you want to watch it. We are having Back to the Future on video cassette. We did have a copy of Top Gun, but somebody taped over it with a soccer ball game. I was very upset with this. So we don't have that no more. But working on getting more tapes, I might get Bambi.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, to Reaper's point, though, like attractive women do have an easier time succeeding on YouTube than
This
that
is true.
bald. So, like, we know this for a fact.
I have a question though. Why was Lauren Chen fired by the Blaze? Why did the Blaze fire? Like what? And I'm just gonna maybe you've already answered this, but like, what did she do illegal? Is it illegal to take money from companies in another country?
She didn't do anything illegal, but she misrepresented what her company was to the people that she brought on board. And basically, Blaze didn't want anything to do with her after that. In fact, Dutch Butters mentioned Megyn Kelly earlier. When Megyn Kelly gave her breakdown of this thing, like she badmouthed Lauren Chen left and right. She's like, I never got a good feeling from that girl. I always felt like she was fake. And
you could tell there was animosity there, dude. Like,
there was a lot of
that too, and I had to turn it off after a bit because I was like, "Oh, this just comes across as you have a personal beef, and you're like, now's my chance to finally say the things that I want to say." Yeah, basically.
Well, it's 2 women fighting over who's more attractive. That's why.
I listen. I only watch news from hot chicks that show us a little leg on the screen.
I do think that with the Blaze though, like, because I'm obviously going to be and have been critical of DOJ and things of that nature, but I have to also kind of be critical of the Blaze because isn't this also all allegations at this point and not actually something that's been necessarily proven?
Right, and they fired her like immediately. I just think it's very odd that all within a 12-hour period. Banned, fired, and you're like, whoa, hold up, no one's asking questions.
So,
I mean, that's a cool comment on YouTube. Except for I'm looking at an article right now in the Blaze that says she was let go as a contributor. So, like, I don't know which one to believe.
You can't
the comment on
me,
YouTube or the Blaze.media.
It's almost like, I feel like there's a point where it gets very close to the Gina Carano thing where it's like, Disney, there were those people going crazy like, Disney didn't fire her. She was a contract. And it's like, bro. It's like, if you're not renewing their contract,
looking at the announcement on Blaze.media,
they would be there. That's the same as firing. Come on.
Blaze.media cut ties to her. And like, all within a 12-hour period. Oh, you were accused of taking money from a company in Russia. First off, I'm not even sure how that's illegal in the first place. How is that illegal? And secondly, you misrepresenting yourself. Well, zero information, nothing but pure accusations, not even named in the indictment. Fired, banned, fired.
I guess
hold the phone. And I'm not even a simp for these people. I literally just learned about what they look like today. What I'm saying is, like, before you just go balls to the wall, banning and firing people and taking away their livelihood, maybe look into it for more than 12 hours. Like, holy shit, dude, that doesn't make any sense.
But my only thing is this something that we're going to have to listen to in the news for the next 3.5-4 years, like the whole Russian gate thing? Or is this just some election season noise that's going to go away in a little while?
It's going to go away. Whoever, as soon as they win, if they win, this won't be an issue anymore. It's like election interference is only an issue when they're not elected.
Right, Brian, I'll tell you what's going to happen. If Trump wins, it's going to be an issue. If Harris wins, they're going to go after more people because they're going to make it into an issue. So it's we lose either way. Yeah. But speaking of not losing, we got a super chat from Old Man Rising for 5.
My dude.
If you stream Space Marines 2, YouTube will leave your channel alone, an old source told me. A lot of this is Acolyte, BrokeNet, and election interference.
Yeah.
Hear that, guys? You just got to all turn your channels into Space Marine 2 channels.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, for me, deadlock, but yeah, close enough.
And Kalichi Oki, I'm sure I mispronounced that name, for $2. Kaliki Oki, thank you, Bowden. How come Pool's channel is still up, but Lauren's isn't? Well, because Tim Pool knows how to play the game.
Well,
not only that, isn't it because of Lauren
management versus talent type of thing?
Well, my understanding, I think Tim directly addressed this. I was certain they were just licensed to like shows that they had already produced, and they didn't actually produce the shows on.
Well, he was actually, and he also tweeted right after. He goes, I changed my opinion about the Ukraine war. We should give him a lot more money to fight the horrible Russians.
No.
Well, it's kind of interesting because all the people who were licensed out to the Tenet Media Network were listed as victims in the actual indictment that the DOJ put out there. So he wasn't actually accused of anything. In fact, he was someone who was lied to and misrepresented. But Tayler Hansen was among those too, and he got his YouTube channel taken down. But I think Tim has a lot of sway at YouTube because he has that contact that he reaches out to all the time, and he always plays YouTube's game, and he's willing to stifle his speech in order to not rock the boat and all that other stuff. So there's that to consider.
Didn't he say he's more than willing to cooperate?
Yep.
So I think a lot of them are just flipping over, and they'll go, I hate people, the Department of Justice when it's against me, but now I'm willing to cooperate when it's my neck on the line.
Yeah. Way too dumb motherfucker for $4.99. In this age, the justice, once clear as Andrewil, now twists like a blade in the dark, striking at the heart of the MAGA king with shadowed intent. It's very poetic of you, way too dumb motherfucker. Thank you. And the queen of gifted subs herself, Jillian N, has gifted 10 Salty Nerd podcast memberships, bringing the total up to 20 for this, or I believe maybe 21 for this stream. Thank you so much, Jillian. Nice. Always appreciate you. And everyone in the chat who got the gifted memberships, be sure to check out the members only playlist. We've got some members content coming out very soon. New members content, I should say. And
only fans.
Well, it's mostly Mr. Butter's feet, so it's all.
Well, have you seen? OnlyFans makes more money than the NBA.
I believe it. And Marks 47, a member for 13 months. Don't forget, Russia is sanctioned, no money in or out. I think that's one of the reasons why the DOJ was looking at money laundering, but they didn't actually accuse Russia of that, or these RT people of that in their indictment. They just said that they're suspected of money laundering. So who knows? It's all,
comrade. I think you know more. I think you know more than what you're
saying. For someone who once wrote for RT, you sound very defensive.
Really is.
Yes, very defensive.
all my buddies
are you still writing for RT?
Yes. You know, when I was over
Join us on RooTube.
Dennis Miller and Jesse Ventura were both over there, so not saying anything. But guys, speaking of which, there was a big kerfluffle over the Star Wars community looking to cancel some of our friends and some of the biggest channels in our space, namely Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kinel. And this was a coordinated cancel mob that basically tried to get these channels not taken down, but completely demonetized. And there's a great article at that Park Place, link in the description, that kind of takes you through all this stuff. But long story short, there was a group of Star Wars shills, and I call them shills because they're not actually fans, they're just looking for access, who basically created this coordinated campaign accusing a cottage industry of toxicity, racism, and bigotry, of basically monetizing hate, monetizing racism, monetizing misogyny, all this other stuff. And they called on YouTube to take a stand and get rid of all these troublesome channels. So we have Jared the Dark Jedi, we have Star Wars Explained, Molly Damon, we have this whole thing was kind of started by this person called Rewriting Ripley podcast or something like that. Not really familiar with much of these people because I don't really read a lot of shill accounts on Twitter. But they basically tried to create a movement in which to get Gary, Geeks and Gamers, and Ryan Kinel completely demonetized. And I think they even threw Star Wars Theory into that mix. And completely against YouTube's terms of service, by the way. And so they basically got rebuked by YouTube by saying hey, we have reviewed these channels and we have found nothing wrong with them, nothing against our terms of service. And then they're like, oh, now we're going to go after YouTube's advertisers. We're going to let them know the bad behavior that YouTube is enabling on their platform.
Is that where they're at now?
That's where they're at. And it's no doubt probably going to lead to another adpocalypse of some type, because this is exactly the same thing that happened with the Steven Crowder versus whatever that guy was, where basically YouTube was like, okay, I'm taking away everyone's toys, and nobody gets any money and stuff like that. But what's really been interesting is that Star Wars Theory came out with a response to this movement, and he basically revealed that Star Wars Explained, in particular, Molly, what's her name, Molly Damon, of Star Wars Explained, is kind of like a behind-the-scenes, I guess, puppet master of all this, where she's been responsible for 8 years worth of bullying for Star Wars Theory. And she's been the one who, even though she claims that she had nothing to do with this, she's been kind of leading the charge behind the scenes to make this thing happen. And it's all not because they actually believe that Gary and Ryan and all these people are racists. It's that they are jealous that they're the ones getting all the YouTube views and money, and they want to be able to get access and get all the YouTube views and money by getting rid of their competition. And that's the long and short of it. And Star Wars Theory did 2 really great responses to these accusations. But Tom Connors Jr., I want to get your take on this, because you've been targeted for cancellation many times, and yet you are still standing. So what's your take on this?
Oh, I mean, it's obvious they have no recourse here, so their last chance at anything is to try and shut everybody down or shut everybody up, especially people like Gary and Star Wars Theory and Geeks and Gamers and Critical Drinker people. I mean, I don't remember if we discussed it here, but I've said it before, where this whole thing, especially when it started with that quote unquote viral tweet, that long thread about how toxic Gary is, and then an almost identical one popped up for Critical Drinker. I said, this almost feels organized and orchestrated. Mm-hmm. And then up pops rewriting Ripley for the first time in 2 years. And basically, I mean, yeah, we were on their radar before, and we threatened them with legal action, and they blocked us. So, but this was from the first time when they were trying to call everybody right-wingers and all this, and alt-right, let's say, actually, is what they were using the term. So yeah, no, this all feels like an organized effort, whether it's being orchestrated from inside Disney or not, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some active people in there, if that's
some coordination.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, that's what it feels like to me. But it's almost like it's what I've been referring to as the final read for a while. It's like the last stitch effort when they know they got nothing left. I mean, if they were going to try and get Gary and those guys shut down, it would have happened years ago, not now. I mean, that's the thing, is now it's almost impossible to make it happen without it being so, so much of a big deal. Like, we'd all come out, obviously, in full force if it were to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of what it feels like, is a last desperate move on the part of people who are losing control of the narrative, losing control of the opinion of the country and the world, for that matter, at this point. I mean, I do feel the shift is coming, and as I've warned, when that does happen and the other side realizes that they're losing all the power, we're going to get what's called the final re, and that's them doing every last desperate move they can to try and gain some foothold and power and semblance of the narrative again, which is just falling away from them, basically.
Well, Reaper, what I find interesting about this is that this all started because the Acolyte got canceled. And it got canceled because of low ratings. And I think that if it weren't for all the hate watching, quote unquote hate watching, the ratings would have been much lower than they actually were, because nobody liked this show. And yet when it was announced that Disney canceled the show, that was kind of like the thing that sparked this cancellation movement, because according to these guys, it's like, hey, these people have monetized a hate-filled cottage industry of bad-mouthing shows that feature people of color and women and blah blah blah, and it was a very mean-spirited, targeted campaign to try to destroy these people's livelihoods. What's your take on this?
Well, they've done it before with Moses Ingram and Obi-Wan. That was a big racism accusations against everyone. They've what I think the difference this time between all the others, because Book of Boba Fett's been cancelled and there wasn't a big attack against YouTubers. What I think the difference is that to these people, Disney to them, they think Disney has reacted to the YouTubers. So instead of listening to them and making sequel after sequel of shows that nobody likes, they're actually listening to their enemies, and that means their power is being taken away. And I think that is what's made them go ballistic and try to take down everyone's channels, because it's a direct threat to their power, because that's all they have. All they have is pressuring people on Twitter to keep making like Ahsoka season 2, despite it having lower ratings than the Book of Boba Fett, which isn't getting a sequel.
Yeah, although they never officially announced that Book of Boba Fett was canceled. They just kind of are letting it die behind the scenes.
Right.
But Brian, I want to throw this to you, because what's interesting about this coordinated effort to cancel Gary and Geeks and Gamers and Ryan Kinel is that pre-Elon Twitter, this was the game plan. This was like, if you pulled this off, you would get these people taken off Twitter and demonetized, and it would have been successful. But post Elon X, it's a different ball game. So what's your take on this coordinated effort to basically take on the quote unquote fandom menace, even though I think that that's no longer a relevant title?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the real thing. I think it's going to fail. I think that they're too big to fail now. And they're too big to take down. And I think that because Elon's Twitter, X is a much more free platform. You got to actually do something wrong to be able to be removed. You can't just, they can't, they won't just remove you because a bunch of people decided to mass report. The whole mass report thing is such a cowardly thing to me. But just because a video or a page or whatever is mass reported, all that should ever do is trigger a human reviewer. That should never trigger an automatic response. And we're seeing that on YouTube now, where human reviewers are actually looking at it. And, YouTube's response was perfect. They're like, yeah, we didn't see anything wrong with this. Good luck. Good luck next time. Good luck next time, weirdos.
Here's a link to report your next video.
Yeah.
So,
so I don't think it's going to work no more, because I think now it's different. It's a different world. I think Elon Musk and buying X, I think that is making other platforms have to. I'm not sure if this is the case, but I'm assuming like maybe they got to be a little more reasonable in their randomly banning reported videos. Because in the past, if you mass reported a video or a channel, it would just be banned automatically. Now it's being triggered. Now it's triggering a human review, which is the right way to do it.
Well, Mr. Butters, what I find interesting here is we just spent, the last like 40 minutes or so discussing how YouTube made all these like very questionable decisions about who to ban and stuff like that. And in this case, YouTube made the right call in not, taking down Gary's channel or demonetizing or whatever. What's your take on how YouTube handled the situation?
Did they accidentally make a supporting decision for free speech? Is that what they did? It's like, I don't know. It's very strange, because old YouTube, like Brian was just saying, they would have probably suspended at least all the accounts, right? And then put them under some kind of review and had to go in front of some kind of YouTube council and get the thumbs up, thumbs down if they're going to
guilty until proven innocent.
These guys continue their channels, in the meantime, they're losing money every second, and then their channels are losing relevancy. And, 6 months later, he's like, oh, you could have your channel back. But at that point, nobody cares anymore. And you got to start over from scratch. So, yeah, man, what these people did was just wrong. This is it's bad. They're and they go, oh, well, we were trying to take their channels down. We were just trying to get them demonetized. We wanted to,
which is arguably worse.
Right. I mean, come on.
We just want them to work for free and not be able to support their families.
Yeah. Yeah. This has gone beyond the hobby stage for Ryan and Jeremy and Gary and all these guys.
This is like their business.
This is what they do now. And they're living the dream right now that I think a lot of us would love to have. With big successful channels and having meetups and, and not having to, they're probably working 18 hours a day. I know they are. I know they're working 18 hours a day, but, and it's hard work. And for these pieces of shit to come in here and try to take that away, for no other reason than jealousy, for the most part, because the people are getting
because
more
they
clicks than those
disagree,
guys.
which is so crazy.
Yeah, I think jealousy kind of fuels a lot of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I know in the case of like Star Wars Theory, these other Star Wars YouTubers, they just dislike Theory's takes, and they're just so upset about his popularity because they don't jive with their progressive bullshit way of thinking about things.
I'm liking Star Wars Theory more and more. I used to think he was sort of
and and Theory's, he's not. I don't take him as being like a super conservative or super liberal dude.
Not, yeah.
He's just a dude who loves Star Wars.
Yeah,
and he does what he wants, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks, and that's what I like about him.
So
there's been a lot of times where I disagree with his takes, but I still like watching his videos.
Mr. Butters, I have to correct you on something. Theory has made it clear that he is a fan of Lucas Star Wars.
Well, okay, so am I. Yeah. So, but
that's actual Star Wars. That's why he said Star Wars.
Right, Star Wars.
Yeah, unless you preface it with Disney.
I've also sat there and watched Theory cry and blubber like a huge baby.
Right. Yeah.
When Luke Skywalker showed up on The Mandalorian, just like all of us did. I thought that was the greatest single moment of Disney Star Wars history. And
except for they didn't have the music.
Right. But
did you actually like it when Luke came back?
Did who what?
When Luke came back, did you like it?
I thought it was cool for about 30 seconds. Then I go,
when it was like trail cam footage or security footage, that's what I liked.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see his uncanny face. That's for sure.
Right.
He's like Leatherface wearing someone else's face on him.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just I think it's fueled by jealousy for the most part, really, and and they clutch their pearls and they get all upset and they try to hide behind their morals and nonsense. But it's just jealousy because other people are capitalizing and actually getting paid for having some opinions that's different from their own. So whatever, screw them.
Well, I want to throw this to Odin, who's been on the inside of this because he's good friends with the Gary and the Geeks and Gamers crew and Ryan Kinel, slumming it with us, but he's on the Friday Night Tight Show and all that good stuff. Odin, do you have any insider knowledge about how these guys reacted to this movement to try to destroy their livelihoods?
First, a correction. I would never be slumming it, as it were. This is always a joy. I love these conversations on these Salty Saturdays, and again, you guys are amazing. Really, no other inside tracks.
I just got that message where you said I'm lying about everything I'm saying right now. I am slumming it.
Okay. Anyway, that was not me typing. That was once again Dutch Butters clickety clacking away. Clickety clack. There it is. All right. But yeah, no real inside information because really, other than when we're getting ready for the show, there aren't a whole lot of, at least in our general chats, conversations about too many of these things. What I do think though is based on everything that I've seen just externally. I would doubt actually at this point that any type of maybe litigation would be pursued, only just because if you think about just damages, I think that because of this blew up so quickly in Star Wars Explained's face and everyone who was trying to get people cancel's faces, I think it actually has already done just so much more damage to them that it's almost like what would even the point be at this point? It's like we've already gotten justice just from that alone. But again, I can't speak for them because I again have no knowledge of what any plans they might potentially have might be, or if it would even go that far. But I do think that just from the outside of it, it definitely has been that sweetness of just how stupid they have made themselves look. And when you have YouTube, especially coming out saying, "Yep, you have no evidence. Have a nice day." It also it's already a pretty tough thing to try to prove. One of my favorite responses was definitely from Jeremy when part of what was being said in that very long, just completely nonsensical statement from Star Wars Explained about the quote evidence included mention of the whole Kelly Marie Tran situation. And my favorite part is Jeremy only had to post the video where he is clearly stating that, hey, I think Kelly Marie Tran is a very sweet person. I think she seems really awesome. Unfortunately, she's been, created as a, just playing. And playing a character that's been terribly written and is just a very awful character. It's like, I really don't like this character. I have no problem at all though with Kelly Marie Tran, right? Separating that art from the artist type type situation. So it's just funny because even the evidence that they brought up has absolutely no grounds whatsoever. And it kind of just shows you how insane these people are and how cultish these people are, that they thought that they actually had a smoking gun of some kind, that they actually thought that their evidence was so strong and so much that even when YouTube came back and said, yeah, there's nothing here, have a nice day, that they were like, their immediate response was, well, if you say there's nothing there, then clearly you just don't understand. And so you'll be hearing, your advertisers will be hearing from our lawyers.
Well, they never have evidence.
Yeah.
They always just have allegations.
Yep.
They just hope the allegation is enough to cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
When is YouTube going to go cancel all their channels?
Here's the thing.
Campaign?
But that's the thing, though. They've self-canceled. They're losing thousands and thousands of followers and subscribers every single day. So they have, again, only hurt themselves and hurt their brand. They, if they were smart, would want all of this to go away as quickly as possible, which means not talking about it, moving on from it. But we all know the internet is forever. And I do think that even if they do somehow save face down the line, it's going to take a long time to actually save that face. And it's going to take even longer for people to stop mentioning it in their comments or chats, because the next thing that happens is, knowing the people as they've been acting, and I doubt that they've learned their lesson, people start, commenting on their posts, start posting it in their chats, and they just start deleting them, muting them, banning them, whatever it might be. And we all know when creators do that, when there's like a high profile situation, that's never a good thing. It never really ends well for them. So this is just the dumbest thing that they could have done. Especially when you're going after a group that has such a very passionate fan base as well, because they're going to just, increase that message. And that's the other thing too, is that they act as if like there's this huge hate mob within the Fellowship. But if you really think about it, I don't remember at any time ever being told, asked, or even myself telling anybody, hey, yeah, go to this video and downvote it. Go to this review and leave a negative comment. No one has ever even said that. We've only just said, hey, look what they're doing. This is kind of amazing, because people were already just naturally doing that already, right? And it was because that's how they genuinely thought about something. But somehow that makes anyone who's in the circle, right, the ringleaders of this cult, trying to destroy people's lives and stuff. It's like, yeah, and then all of a sudden they've just done exactly what they have claimed the Fellowship did, right? And the channels that are at the head of the Fellowship did. And this is going to, again, just be ever so sweet as they continue to lose face, and potentially more down the road as well.
I'm surprised Star Wars Explained is as big as it is. It has 808,000 subs.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's been around for a long time.
But what's really weird is you look at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their videos, one video came out 2 hours ago, 3,100 views.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really getting much play out of their numbers.
Mr. Butters, I would like to point out that Molly Damon is a fairly attractive girl, and therefore a lot of the Star Wars nerds subscribe to their channel because they like to see attractive girls. However, she is very kind of mean-spirited on the inside, at least according to Star Wars Theory, because I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch Theory's 2 response videos.
The first one,
he absolutely bodied Star Wars Explained. Like, he has receipts, he has like chat messages, and he just went through and he's like, okay, here's why these people are petty, here's why they're jealous, here's why they're targeting us, because they want to get rid of the competition so that they can grow and make more money and stuff like that. That's what the motivation for this was. It wasn't some lofty goal of like fighting racism or sexism or like whatever that is. It's all about gaining more access and more favor with Lucasfilm by taking out people who are critical of it, and then getting a bigger part of the Star Wars niche market share by eliminating a lot of the competition there. That's pretty much what he said, and he proved it, I think, over the course of his 2 videos. Like you guys, I was kind of lukewarm about Star Wars Theory because I found a lot of his takes to be kind of like shilly. But recently, man, he's been stepping up, and he's been like, hey, this is my opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, it's up to you. But he's punching back, and I think that it's refreshing to see that, because I feel like hearing his personal story about 8 years of being bullied by these people, I'm like, good for you for finally standing up and taking a shot, But speaking of taking shots, guys, we got a super chat from Black BGN for $5. Reaper, How many times have your videos been deleted by YouTube?
Well, they get deleted so often, but I had one where I think I had 40 videos when I was starting off, and then they all just went, like the entire channel just got scrubbed clean.
That's rough.
I had to start again, basically. That was it, yeah. Like from scratch, as I was just getting subscribers, yeah.
Well, guys, we have to welcome a new member to the One Hundo Club today. Mark of Reality for $100 super chat. Thank you so much, Mark of Reality.
Nice.
Welcome, sir. This is actionable, but the more important consideration before suing is whether or not you can afford to sue to the end. Disney could afford a lot of litigation. Enter Elon and Gina. This seems to dance right up to the knife's edge of what Elon would finance. Sketchy. Yeah, Odin has Gary or Jeremy talked about asking Elon to help them fund a lawsuit on this one.
Again, like nothing's really come up in any of the like if that kind of the conversation was happening, it wouldn't be over like Twitter DM or anything like that. So this would probably be something that they would be talking about with their own lawyers or with their own like just through personal like phone call type situations. But I think like this just kind of brings up that really good point about whether they could afford it or not. Because let's say even if you did have the case where this might be something that Elon would finance, keep in mind that because it's a court case, that would mean they would have to potentially have days where maybe they are not on YouTube, which costs them money still. And even if you could like, oh, we can get paid for that after the fact. Like that's the other reason why I don't think necessarily anything's going to come from it, because that would just be all this time taken away from their actual channels, which are their livelihood, which is also why this whole thing is so much more nefarious. Because yeah, people say, well, it's just demonetization. It's meaning you're taking their entire livelihood away from them, the way that they support themselves, the way that they support their families, and all the other people that are attached to them as well, right? Because Geeks and Gamers is not just Jeremy. Nerdrotic is not just Gary, right? All of these channels have either like different connected channels or have people that work for their channels. And so that is what they were going after here. So that's why, someone who writes for geeksandgamers.com, right? Yeah, obviously the target was Jeremy, but that impacts a lot more people than just him.
And I also liked how Robert Barnes responded to a lot of this stuff. And it's like, Gary and Jeremy have a lot of lawyer friends who would be more than happy to take this up. So a little warning shot across the bow there. Another $5 from Mark of Reality. Thank you so much, Mark of Reality. Really appreciate your support. Keep in mind that my last super considers who could be behind these nitwits trying to cancel people, Bob. Oh, I see. So not sue Star Wars Explained, but sue the bad actors behind the scenes who are causing them to do this stuff. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, guys. So to round this out, I want to get to a little bit of a spicy topic.
Oh boy.
And that is Dr. Disrespect. So this is the fourth in our series of controversial cancellation things that have happened on YouTube very recently. And this one's a little bit more complicated than any of the other ones we talked about today, I think with Gary and Geeks and Gamers, it was a very clear-cut case where good guys and bad guys were very clear. Tenet Media, a little bit of election shenanigans, all that stuff. And Amouranth, versus YouTube. It's like she seems like, she just got hit by evil corporate entity. But with this one's really, really kind of like weird. Because basically, if you guys remember, it was almost 4 years ago around this time that Dr. Disrespect got banned from Twitch. And it was one of those things where all the fans of the doc were like, what happened? And Dr. Disrespect wasn't talking, Twitch wasn't talking, nobody knew. And there was a lot of speculation that nobody would ever know because they went to court, settled it in court, and moved on their merry ways. Dr. Disrespect remained banned at Twitch, but he moved over to YouTube, and nobody ever talked about it. But there were a lot of accusations flying around, but again, nobody ever talked about it until recently. In which case, new allegations from former Twitch employees came out that basically Dr. Disrespect had been engaged in inappropriate behavior with minors. And then Dr. Disrespect did something very odd where he basically came out and said, yes, this is true. I did have an inappropriate interaction with a minor. And then he went and edited that part out. And leading up to his return to streaming once more because he took some time off once like that whole firestorm hit. He basically said that he had been playing 4D chess and that post was meant to pull out bad actors and media members and stuff like that to basically put egg on their face.
You gotta do it the way he did. Listen, champs. It was all bait. It was bait.
Yeah, it was all bait. It was all
right,
bait.
champs. It was bait. What?
So essentially, like Dr. Disrespect walked back a little bit of this stuff. He basically said that the quote unquote minor in question was of legal age in their area. We don't know if that was overseas or if that was here locally or like whatever. Age of consent can vary from 16 to 18 depending on what state you're in. And
right.
Overseas, it can be as young as 15. Like, you just don't know. But everyone's asking him for receipts. They're like, hey, can you post the messages? Can we see what this inappropriate action was? And Dr. Disrespect's like, what is this, second grade? I'm not going to post, these messages. And so a lot of people are like, well, that must mean that he's guilty because he's withholding evidence. But he made a very impassionate case for himself when he came back on the stream. He basically laid it all out. It's like, these are former disgruntled Twitch employees. They all hated me. They wanted to take me down, and this is how they decided to do it. But at the same time, a lot of the people that Doc was quote unquote friends with and streamed with a lot, like Tim the Tatman, Nick Merckx, Dr. Lupo, all these guys, they're like, hey, he admitted this. Therefore, we don't want anything to do with him anymore. But it's created this weird situation where Doc's fans are supporting him because they believe the Doc. But then like you have these other people who are like, we don't even want to take the chance that this guy who did something inappropriate with a quote unquote minor could be, a bad actor. And so like they just want to distance themselves from him. So I'd like to get the panel's take on this. We'll start with our guest Reaper. What's your take on the whole Dr. Disrespect kerfluffle? Do you think that he's guilty? Do you think he's innocent? Like what's your take on it?
Oh, he's a pedo. He's definitely. It's so for when someone says to you, "Did you message a minor?" If your immediate answer isn't no, well, the age of consent differs from state to state. I go, no, that's a pedo response. That is what pedophiles say. The fact he won't show you the text shows that he clearly knows that people will look at it and go, that's clearly you grooming this child or young adult, whatever you want to call it. What it really is basically he's realized he's got to go the Vosh route because Vosh got caught with horse porn. And now he just plays off going, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. And that's the same thing what he's doing. It's all a battle of optics. His friends, because he's Dr. Disrespect and he's so huge, he can kind of survive the loss of subscribers and pedo allegations because he's so popular. But he is a pedo.
Well, very succinct and to the point there, Reaper. We know where you stand. But what's funny is that there have been rumors circulating that the quote unquote minor, the 17-year-old, supposedly was a Twitch employee disguised as that in the messaging. And that's one of the reasons why it was dismissed in terms of like the allegations, because when this case went to court and the government bodies investigated it, it could be that there was some shenanigans going on there. However, if Doc actually thought that, didn't know that it was like a Twitch employee, that's all.
Well, it wouldn't be a joke because that's the thing. If you're lying and posing as a child, that means the other guy thinks you're a child. Otherwise, it's not posing. It's just
you're using the word child though, man. Like, imagine if you get a message from what appears to be a full-grown woman. And she's like, and in the process of that conversation, she goes, "Oh, I'm 17." Like, yeah, he maybe is a dirtbag, but calling him a pedo is not the right term. Because he's not like a guy. He's not like the chat message. It shows some like little baby with a fucking pacifier in her mouth. No, it's some chick with some internet thought with headphones on and a pouty face. What I'm saying is, like, if you get a message on Whisper from what appears to be a full-grown woman on Twitch Whisper, and then in the process of that conversation, what's that?
Did she appear full-grown?
I don't know, but I'm assuming that your avatar. Well, first off, you can't be on Twitch Whisper unless you are full-grown, whether you're lying about it or not. So you can't be there if you're fucking 15, right?
I don't know.
You can't be a part of that system. So yeah, I mean, I guess you can lie about it, but like if your avatar looks like some internet thought with the pouty face and the cosplay, I think the dirtbag. I mean, and look, I think Dr. Disrespect is a dirtbag, but I don't know if he was trying to be a pedophile. So like calling him straight up pedos.
Well, if you just release the messages, we could all easily find out.
That's true.
Right.
True.
Yeah, you're completely right. I also don't really give a shit because I'm not a fan.
I know, yeah, but
I'm just saying calling him a pedo like straight up like that is like.
I think so. I think he knows what he says, and I think he knows that you.
I think he's a horny dirtbag that got in a conversation with someone that was 17.
Yeah, but now we're here. He's cheated on his wife tons of times.
Mm-hmm. But he's a dirtbag, but I don't think he's a pedo.
Yeah, he's a dirtbag. I think so. I think if you actually see the substance, the reason why he won't release it because he's cheated on his wife before. We all know he has. Yeah. So just simply putting out stuff, going, yeah, I cheated on her for the 17th time. That would clear his name. There's too much to be gained by not showing someone if you're innocent.
He's a massive dirtbag. He should just show the chats.
Nope. But that's the thing. If he hadn't cheated
and show what the avatar looks like, I'm like, I can see like this 50-year-old pervert getting baited by some internet thought, especially if it was a Twitch employee, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is though, is that if I would go, maybe he doesn't want to reveal it because he's trying to save his marriage, but he's already cheated on her like how many times?
I mean, so that's another reason not to show it because like if she's stuck around with him this whole time. Like maybe he doesn't want to add more.
But is she going to stick around with you if she thinks you're a pedo?
Right. Yeah, he honestly should just show it. Just show the chat.
That's the thing.
I mean, what's the worst? It's like him like talking dirty to an internet. You know, just show the chat.
We all know. Yeah, we all know he's cheated. She knows he's cheated.
Right.
She knows everything. So to his mind, he's went. The cost of releasing this is worse than coming out as cheater.
It will give us another 3 weeks of talking about it too.
That's the thing as well, and it'd go away. Oh, he was trying to shag some girl that wasn't his wife. Big deal. We all know it. But why wouldn't you reveal it?
He should just maybe he's not legally allowed to, and he's not. Maybe he's not allowed to because then they have some weird Twitch gag order which they couldn't talk about until they brought it up first.
Well, yeah, but it's been brought up now.
Yeah, I mean, I would just release the chats.
I release it unless it's incriminating, and to him, he can still lie to his fans.
Imagine if he's like, "Oh, you're 17. Let's pretend like you're 13." It's even worse.
I want to get Odin's take on this. Odin, do you think Dr. Disrespect is in the wrong here?
I mean, he's in the wrong no matter which way it goes with this. I mean, and that's the thing is like evil is being done here. It really comes down to how grave is the evil that has been done. And so that's why it's like, if this is his way of saying, oh, it's not as bad as it could have been, it's like, yeah, it's still bad and you're still a scumbag. And I think that people should just, I think that people should speak with their views and with their money, be like, yeah, let's not support a scumbag. Right. I think that's really what it comes. You
can't support him with your money though. Cause like he's streaming demonetized.
No. What I mean though is that still, if you're giving him even views or attention, there is like monetary value to that to a certain extent. Because I don't know if he's got any other means of income, for instance, or if there's any other ways of donating. But just also the reach alone that he has from this doesn't mean that he doesn't have the ability to get ad revenue from something else. I don't know how active he is on X.
He can always come back,
but yeah.
He's gonna start doing like Raid Shadow Legends ads pretty soon.
Mr. Butters. So just I think either this morning or yesterday, Dr. Disrespect entered this game called Deadlock, using the character of a young girl with bare feet. And immediately, once everyone found out that he was in the game, his team left, and then the opposing team left because they refused to play with him. What's your take on this? Do you think that the doc is being unfairly, persecuted?
Well, I think the doc is going to need to just go disappear for a while and come back as a completely new character, probably behind some kind of VTuber mask.
You picked the wrong avatar.
Start over from scratch.
You picked the 14-year-old girl. What are you doing, bro? Pick the robot or something, man.
Yeah, don't do that, man. That's not cool.
That's someone who thinks they have way too much power and influence and that they feel like they're untouchable.
I feel so weird about this whole thing because I was a huge fan of Dr. Disrespect. I loved his grift. I loved his character. I liked his production. You know, I liked his attitude. I liked how he just did things. You know, it was a next level pro video game streamer, and I respected the shit out of it. You know, but then all this stuff kind of comes along, and you're like, man, why do you got to put us all out there in that kind of situation?
Heroes turn to villains.
Yeah, dude. It's just like I never considered him a hero. I just really appreciated his grift, for lack of a better word. He worked fucking hard. You know, his production value. Grift. Nobody touches the guy. You know, he's always in character, and I just had a really deep appreciation for everything that he did and put into his work and his channel, and for him to throw it all out the window by talking nasty to some little 17-year-old chick. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why somebody would do that. It's like Brian said. I guess in real life he's a scumbag. You know. Yeah, it's absolutely a scumbag. The Dr. Disrespect character is probably not too far away from his real life.
He's actually that character.
Actually, yeah. Guy Beam is actually Dr. Disrespect. But to me, it's all I can feel through this whole thing is just disappointment. That's my thing, because I can't really support him, but I want to. Does that make any sense? But I can't. I can't sit there and watch a stream anymore and feel good about it. I can't.
Well,
so I'm not going to. So
real quick, Tom, do you have anything to say about the Dr. Disrespect situation?
I mean, look, I don't know the guy. Don't watch his shit. Don't condone what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like Reaper said, all you got to do is release the evidence one way or the other to prove your innocence. But at the same time, I mean, this whole thing is just one of those things that I would never find myself in the situation of. So I have no idea how to respond to it. So
never get baited by
I play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's the best thing I can say on
that. I sit here and play video games with a 50-pound helmet on my head and sunglasses, and I got a freaking vest back here behind me because I like how, you know, these guys develop characters when they play their games. And Dr. Disrespect is an influence on that. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just a really hard thing.
It's so sad.
It sucks. It sucks that this guy's done that.
You know what's going to cheer Mr. Butters up is this €5 super chat from Darth Maul's lower half. So the shills ask YouTube to demonetize the channels but not ban the content. This can only mean that the quote unquote hateful content is not actually the problem. That's a very good point there. Very good point, Darth Maul's lower half. Mexican Iron Man for $10. Wow, this is the weirdest show and topics list in the history of S&P Saturday. I'm going to need to shower and pray on all of this, at least before I head out to the strip clubs tonight. Just kidding. We know you're not kidding, Mexican Iron Man.
Yeah. Okay. Kidding.
He's going
way
to daycare.
Too dumb, Mutafalka for $4.99. Brian, I ventured through your dock, but alas, after 30 minutes, my interest waned, and I sought other adventures.
At least I got you for 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Click. That counts as a click, man. Good job.
That's a good click. Yep.
It does.
Good click.
All right, guys. We had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank my fantastic panel of nerds for being here today and sharing all their controversial and sometimes non-controversial opinions. That's what we pay you the big bucks for. And by big bucks, I mean nothing. Odin of OMB Reviews. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, all of the different social media platforms. And as far as final thoughts are concerned, I hope we have some happier things to talk about. Though the one positive I could say is at least we didn't talk Rings of Power this week.
Never. We're not going to talk
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Well, we're going to have a guest on who's going to go through all of it for us. So,
good.
In the near future.
Oh,
yes. Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
I like turtles.
You can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark, Mead Radio. Probably working on the corner sooner or later, considering how bad YouTube's going. Might have to start an OnlyFans, and then I'll lose my YouTube over it. So go figure.
Yeah, but then you'll be making millions of dollars a month on OnlyFans. So
this is true.
Weird.
So yes, find me there, and thanks again for having me. Sorry I got up late.
It's okay.
I've been busy editing a project.
And Mr. Reaper from the UK, thank you so much for being here. Your first appearance on Salty Saturdays, hopefully not your last. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
In the deepest, darkest, miserable fucking abyss, you'll find my channel.
Okay, well, short and sweet and to the point. Brian from the Popcast, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me, I should say. Where you can find me, the usual places. Look it up.
That would be the Popcast.
Actually, onlyfans.com/Klingon Warriors Feet.
Okay.
There you go. Guys, if you want to check out anyone's channel on the panel, link to their channels is in the description if you want to check them out.
I
Mr.
finally got
Butters.
Odin. I just try my entire thing every week is to get Odin to go like this. And I got him to do it.
He did it a couple of times throughout the course of this stream. So, Mr. Butters, what's going on the Salty Nerd Gaming channel?
Salty Nerd Gaming channel. We're going through Space Marines 2 right now, playing a little bit of Hell Divers. We're going down some different genres of games going to be going this week. So I can't really get too much into it. 2 podcasts a week. We got Salt Divers on Tuesdays and Weekend Rewatch on Fridays. That just released yesterday. So check that out over there. And live streams like 3-4 times a week as well. Mondays and Tuesdays late night. And the other times are random. You got to be in Discord or follow me on Twitter, X, to get those alerts. So
Gotcha.
there you have it.
And want to give a big shout out to everyone who gave us super chats during the course of the show. Way Too Dumb Mudafalka, Mexican Iron Man, R to the Icky, Davish, Kaliki Ochi,
Kalikioki.
Kalikioki, thank you. Black BGN, Darth Maul's lower half, and the Hundo from Mark of Reality. Thank you so much, Mark of Reality, that you have entered the $100 club here on the Salty Saturday live stream.
Welcome club.
So, guys, be sure to join us next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel for more saltiness. We're going to have some really awesome guests coming up, and I can't wait to announce them once they are officially locked in. But Razor Fist will be joining us soon, and a couple other really cool people, George the Giant Slayer, all these other guys. We have them lined up for future episodes. But until next time, stay salty, my friends. And Mr. Butters, please remember to hit the in-stream button as soon as the salty stuff goes to black. Okay?
Yeah. Just push. Let's just go.